Hello, I'm Jenny with theforestdaisy. I create crafts, home decor, and upcycled projects. This video, I'm going to show you some Patriotic and Americana themed decor that I made. Please like the video and subscribe to my channel for more crafting. I had these wooden circles that I tried making a fall craft with last year, but I never finished it. So I took them apart and painted over them. One red, one white, and one blue. I kept the hangers on at first because I was originally planning on using those, so that's why I was painting around them. Then I attached stencils to the front once the paint was dry. I put the letter U on the red one, painted that letter with white paint, and the blue one with white as well, but that one got the letter A. Then I painted S onto the white one, but used red paint for that so the letter didn't blend in. Once the stencils were removed, I cut some strips of red and white gingham print ribbon that I got off Amazon. I used a wooden skewer to push the ribbon through each of the holes at the top of the circles. For the white and blue circles, I added hot glue along the end of the ribbon to keep it together. Then I lined up the white circle beneath the red and used my staple gun to attach that to the back of the red circle. Then I stapled the blue beneath the white so the letters lined up to say USA. I put some more of that ribbon through the red circle, tied some knots to create a hanger, and tied a bow at first, but I redid the hanger to just have a loop, and then I made bows that I placed over the hanger holes on each circle. I got this wood heart-shaped sign years ago and had vinyl on it previously, but I removed that and tried to sand it down as much as I could since the vinyl left behind the design on the wood. I ended up moving the sign to the floor because it was easier for me to put the painter's tape on the heart that way instead of having it on my table. So I didn't record that process, but I measured out where each of the stripes would go, then taped off some of the lines and the section where the blue would be. And I painted the first stripes with red chalk paint. When that was done, I peeled the tape off, dried the red paint with my heat gun, and then I taped over those lines to add in the white, but I ended up using a desert tan colored chalk paint instead of white, so it added more of a rustic look. Again, peeled the tape off. Then I added tape around the last section and painted that blue. And then I ended up making a star-shaped stencil and I just put stars randomly in the blue section. I thrifted this wreath frame, but you can get frames from different craft stores or Dollar Tree, but I've been having a difficult time finding larger sizes from there lately. I had this red and white striped mesh left from my last stock up before Joann's went out of business. I folded the end of the mesh together a couple of times, then pushed it through the middle wires of the wreath frame to the back side. Then I used a pipe cleaner that I cut in half and tied it to the frame. I gathered several inches of the mesh and slid it toward the starting point to make a poof shape and tied it down with another pipe cleaner. I used that mesh to fill out 3 of the wreath sections. Then I cut the mesh off from the roll and tied those ends the same way onto the frame. And I like to tuck the ends under the pipe cleaners and twist those around a few times to keep that mesh out of the way. After that, I took some navy blue mesh that I think I got from craftoutlet.com and I followed the same steps to fill in those last 2 sections of the wreath. And then I cut off the excess pieces of pipe cleaner on the bottom and I twist those flat so they don't poke out. I got this foam scatter from Dollar Tree, removed the small white stars and glued them throughout the blue mesh. There were only 5 small stars in the pack, so I did end up using the stars from 2 packs to fill in more of the gaps. When I glue things onto mesh, I will put my fingers up through the mesh poof and then press the mesh more into the object so that it really gets stuck on there. That was all I added to this wreath, but it would also be cute with some ribbon or other patriotic accents. This wooden house-shaped decor came from Dollar Tree quite a while ago, so they may not have these exact ones anymore. I removed the sticker from the back, then I painted the whole thing with desert tan colored chalk paint. I covered the front of the sign with a few coats of paint. I also had this patriotic tag sign left from last year that I also got at Dollar Tree. I removed the string hanger from that. Then I brushed some antique wax onto both of those signs to give an aged look. I applied wood glue and hot glue to the back of the tag, then placed it onto the house, and then I put a bow over the hole where the hanger was. All three of these wooden arrow blanks came from Dollar Tree. I also used some random pieces of patriotic themed paper that I had. I first removed the hangers from all three of the arrows. Then I painted the end of each arrow. One was blue, one white, and one red. Then I also painted along the sides and the back of each one so that they weren't left plain. I traced the arrow on the back side of the paper up to the point of the arrow, then used a paper trimmer to cut down the paper. I got this trimmer at Goodwill for a couple of dollars, so I thought that was a nice find. Once the papers were all cut, I applied Mod Podge onto the blank sections of the arrows, then pressed the paper on top and smoothed it out. I let that dry for a while, then I sanded off any excess paper along the edges. Some of the edges of the paper didn't stick completely, so I went under those spots with more Mod Podge. After that, I wrapped some twine around the signs a couple of times and tied them into bows and then added a bit of hot glue underneath to keep them from moving around. I placed the longest arrow in the middle, then put wood glue and hot glue on the bottom left corner. Then I placed one of the smaller arrows on top of that. I pressed down for several seconds to make sure the hot glue had a chance to set up, and I was hoping that the wood glue would add extra security. Then I added glue to the bottom left corner of the last arrow and placed the large one on top of that. I also added some more hot glue along the back of the arrows to hopefully keep them from coming apart. And then I finished it off by making a hanger with ribbon, which I glued to the back of the middle arrow. I used more Dollar Tree supplies for this craft. I took off the sticker at the bottom of this wooden crate. Then I applied red paint. I covered all of the sides, bottom, and even painted the inside. Then I took this metal patriotic hanging decor and used some pliers to open up the chain link so I could get the smaller piece that says God Bless America. At first, I glued it to some Dollar Tree Jenga block pieces and put that on the side of the crate because I thought the metal wouldn't stick to the wood, but I ended up taking those off anyways, and I applied a generous amount of super glue and hot glue to the back of the sign, and then placed it flat onto the crate. I added in a piece of floral foam inside, then I filled that up with sprigs of fake boxwood greenery that I get from Amazon, but Dollar Tree also has a variety of greenery to choose from. And I was looking for more little patriotic accent pieces, and I found this balloon weight in the party section, and it reminded me of a sparkler. So I cut off the pieces that had the stars on them and placed those into the foam around the greenery. I made firecrackers with wooden dowels. I had 3 dowels and measured them to 7 inches, 6 inches, and 5 inches, and drew a line on each one to mark the spots to cut. I cut those down to the sizes that I wanted, but one of the dowels actually broke when I cut it, but I still wanted to complete this craft. The 7-inch piece I painted blue, the 6-inch one was painted white, and the 5-inch one got red paint. And then I drew stars all over the blue one with a paint pen marker. After the paint was dry on the piece that was painted white, I brushed red lines along the whole length of it, and went all the way around the dowel. I made the lines sort of wavy to add a more whimsical look to it. For the last dowel, I dipped the end of a paintbrush in white paint and applied dots all around it. Then I cleaned off the paintbrush and dipped it into blue paint to add some more polka dots. For the firecracker fuses, I used vine paper wrapped wire. I cut off a piece for each firecracker, then twisted them a bit around my finger. I put hot glue on one end of each firecracker and placed the end of the wire into the glue. After the glue was dried, I painted over the glued end so that it would help cover up the glue spot. I placed the 3 firecrackers together in a bundle and I tied them together with a strip of burlap ribbon. Thank you for watching.